welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about November movies and series, and I haven't posted in a while, and that's because November has been really busy and I unintentionally ended up taking a break. But I'm back and there's lots to talk about, so let's just dive right into it. So first up, I watched Chhalaang. It stars Rajkumar and I thought his acting was just great. The movie was funny and I think the concept was pretty fresh as well. It's set in this small town and it's about this PT teacher coach at a school, and it's kind of like his journey in finding self-respect and in meaning in what he does, both for himself and for society, what they think of him. His issue has always been that he's left things midway and never really pursued them or continued them. So this is his opportunity against another coach, against another PT teacher, to train his own team for them to compete against that guy's team. And so there's a lot of athletics going on, and at the end of these 3 games that they play to determine the winner, there's a really great speech by Rajkumar Rao, and I think that was a moment in the film where I was like, oh wow, I mean, I'm glad they included that, because he talks about something on the lines of how we see all of these great athletes and we see all these sportsmen, but we don't often realize that there's this whole team and an army of parents, of coaches, of people who are supporting these athletes and giving so much of their lives, dedicating so much of their lives to these people's lives. So overall, I think it was funny. It had a good concept. I think it was a little too draggy. It could have been cut down a little bit, and also there were a few logical issues, like a PT teacher leaving angry looking, hungry looking dogs behind kids, and the dogs running behind the kids. I think that was, I don't know where that would be acceptable, but I think it works for comedy. Next up is Ludo. Again, I think it was a really fresh concept, because once in a while there comes a filmmaker who does this kind of mixed narrative, multiple narrative story. The last I can think of is Masan, and so Ludo has 4 different stories. I think it's actually more than 4, but for the sake of it, 4 stories woven together, and it's so fun to watch these kind of movies because there's so much going on and there's so many characters, but they are not aware of the other characters in the movie, but yet all of it is so intricately linked, and that kind of is like real life, you know, because there's so much going on in everybody's lives and everybody has their own individual lives going on, and it's sort of crazy to think about the fact that the world still moves on with so much going on in everybody's lives. There's loads of characters in this movie, so let's go through them really quick. First up, there's Pankaj Tripathi and the nurse, and at this point in 2020, we are so used to watching Pankaj Tripathi in every other movie that it's natural, and he's really natural, even though he's playing a very similar role to what he's played before, the Gunda, the Don, but yet he makes it natural and he makes it entertaining and fun to watch nonetheless. Then there was Abhishek Bachchan and Inayat Verma, the 7-8-year-old girl, and I think the acting was great here again. The acting was great overall, so I'm just gonna stop mentioning it. But I think this story was really interesting because it was a little bit more explorative in that sense, because Abhishek Bachchan is this guy who's just come out of jail and he really wants to meet his daughter. He's not really a bad guy, but he can't meet his daughter. Then he meets this girl who is his daughter's age, and then when he finally meets his daughter, it's like he has to kind of make a decision about what's right and what's wrong for her and for him and all of that. So it was an interesting part. Then there was Rohit Saraf and Pearly Mane, these 2 really common working people who get their hands on so much money and cash, and they get this chance to really up their lives, but with that money also comes all the problems, the troubles, and the people trying to find these people. Then there was Aditya Roy Kapoor and Sanya Malhotra, and again, interesting situation. There's a sex tape of them out there, but she's getting married to somebody else, and that somebody else cannot know about the sex tape. And I think in this situation, her character was really interesting to me because she has all of these dreams of marrying rich and moving into those circles, but Aditya Roy Kapoor's character kind of challenges that because she's really happy with him and he gets her, and she loves him even though she won't admit it. The word of this video is interesting because I've used interesting so much that I am becoming uninteresting. Then there was Rajkumar Rao and Fatima Sheikh about this guy who's been in love with this girl since they were in school, but she gets married to another guy, but he's still in love with her and he's willing to do anything for her and for her happiness and all of that. And Again, I think Rajkumar Rao was just brilliant. He was so good. His acting was so good. But I just felt like that bit of the story, their bit of the story got a little bit repetitive. And I like the concept of the movie, which was life is Ludo. And there's so many events and stories, characters linked together intricately, like I said before. And I'm just in awe of how many characters there are in this movie and how each character has their own distinct space and has their moments. And I can see how this, for some people, can be a little too confusing, and not confusing but a little too much. But I think for me it worked, and it was still a fun ride and a funny ride. Next up is The Crown season 4, and Diana comes into the picture. And I think this series is definitely for people obviously who are into the royal family, like watching the royal family, but also people who are into dramas and watching people's lives and how some people's lives can affect other people's lives, and those kind of movies and series. And I think the series gives a lot of different perspectives, even though there's so much controversy around the season and around the series for painting a false narrative about the royals, about specific members of the royal family. But I think the series does give different perspectives from Diana's point of view, from Charles, from the queen's sister, Prince Philip, all of those different people. And I think the series leaves a lot of room for discussion. Like if I'm sitting in the living room with my family watching it, we can talk about, you can think for yourselves who you think is right, who was not right, who made the right decisions, who was responsible for something, who could have done something better or not done something, all of those things. Next up is The Fabulous Lives of Bollywood Wives. And again, I don't want to talk shit about the series. I think people do that a lot anyway, and I just don't feel good doing it. But I think the series was marketed as laugh at us, laugh with us, just laugh because it's 2020. But I don't think so. It was that funny anyway. Like it wasn't that entertaining. It kind of got boring and repetitive after a while. And I think one of the main problems I had with the series was that it didn't feel like wholesome. It didn't feel like it didn't come well together. Like for example, they show us this part where Bhavna Pandey is launching her first shop ever, and they have this really intense meeting with the investors because they are behind on their schedule for the launch of the shop and all of those things. And then after that, it is only once talked about later, and she talks about how great the opening was, how so many people showed up, and how everybody's so proud of her and all of those things. So that's like just one of the 100 different things that are happening in the series. But I don't think so it was that bad. It was definitely going for the Keeping Up with the Kardashians vibe, but it was nowhere near that. And Karan Johar kept coming in the middle once or twice to stir the pot, get some drama going. But I don't think it worked for the series overall anyway, because we didn't know the people that they're talking about. What is the drama? Who are you fighting over? And they don't give that away. And I feel like in reality TV, if the drama is not there, if the tea is not there, if the gossip is not there, those nasty things are not there, then it doesn't work as an entertaining reality TV show. And I think that was missing. One thing though that I felt really clearly throughout the series was that even though it was not really out there, subconsciously it was trying to make you feel sympathetic towards them, because they kept mentioning how hard it was for somebody, how difficult it was for somebody, and all of those things. And I just felt a little detached from that, because I'm like, dude, everybody has their own problems and everybody's going through really hard and difficult times in their own way, and you're just doing that with money. So I didn't really appreciate that. And at the end of the series, they have Shah Rukh Khan and Gauri Khan come in, and there's this big Bollywood party, and I thought we'd like see more of that, but instead we just see that he gives this big speech where he's praising each one of them, and then in turn they praise him and Gauri Khan about how great they are. And I agree that it's kind of like mushy and sentimental and nice. So yeah, that's it. That's Fabulous Lives of Bollywood Wives. I can't speak anymore. So that is it for today. Those were all the November movies and series I watched, and I did also watch some very embarrassing, cringy, bingeable content that I shall not talk about because it is embarrassing and cringy. So yeah, I will see you in my next video. Meanwhile, if you enjoyed watching this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time. Bye!